When it comes to your arms, a huge portion of that arm is tricep. Most of us want our triceps to look good. I would say that most gym goers are probably spending most of their time training their arms. This video will be part 1 of 3 on the arms. In this video, we'll look at how we can most optimally train triceps. Part 2 will look at the biceps, and part 3 will be an all-in-one workout of some of my favorite exercises. So if you're not subscribed, stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, and let's get right into looking at how to train the triceps smarter. Hey everyone, welcome to Science-Based Fitness. My name's Adam. Thanks for stopping by. Like I just said, we're looking at triceps today, and we're going to start with the anatomy first. I want to walk through each of the heads. Our tricep has, you guessed it, 3 heads. The lateral head shown here, the long head, and the medial head. The medial head is deep to the long and lateral head, so it's more challenging to see. When we do tricep exercises, regardless of the grip or the exercise you choose, there'll be some level of activation on each of these heads of the tricep. But there is an emphasis on different heads, and they're more active in certain positions, and that's one thing that we can actually manipulate to target specific areas more. Now, of course, we're going to look at EMG data and find which exercises seem to be more effective for the triceps. I also want to look at the different angles that our shoulders can be put into through shoulder flexion. A simple change in the position can have a drastic effect on which head of the tricep is most active. I was actually pretty surprised when I saw this data, and I personally got excited because this is really cool. So let's jump right into this first study that looks at shoulder elevation. So a 2018 study out of Seoul, South Korea wanted to evaluate each head of the tricep while in these positions that you can see here. So these are different levels of shoulder elevation. On the left, you can see 0 degrees. All the way on the right, you can see 180 degrees. Now, I want to break this data down with you because it gets a little overwhelming if you see it all at once. And I promise it'll be a lot easier to understand as I walk you through this. As you can see here, this is a full range of motion at the elbow joint that we go through when we do 1 full rep. It's roughly 135 degrees. So on our graph, we're going to be starting at 0, which is our flexed position, as you can see here. Now, when we look at this graph of data, it looks complicated, but hang with me here. This is actually pretty easy to understand. We have our long head, our lateral head, and our medial head. This data here shows the force that's produced. This data down here shows the actual activation in that muscle. In the front here, we can see 0 to 180 degrees. So this would essentially be arm at our side, and this would be essentially fully elevated. And over here, we can see 0 to 135 degrees, which here would be our starting point with our arm fully flexed. And as we do a full repetition, here's 135 degrees. Okay, good. Now, the data shows that the long head is consistently active throughout the ranges from 0 to 180 degrees. So the activity level does not really change much at all. But you can see from the force production, it drops dramatically. But we can see that it's being picked up by the other 2 heads. As you can see here, the lateral head, and here the medial head. So if you were someone looking to target the lateral head of the triceps, which you can argue is the most visible head since it is the most lateral or on the outside of the arm, it would make more sense to prioritize exercises where we have some degree of shoulder elevation. Now, you guys can use this information however it best fits into your workouts. I know this might get a little bit confusing, so I'm going to show 2 exercises here, and I'm going to let you guys kind of guess and understand which heads are most active throughout these motions. So the first one you're going to see here is me doing a standing tricep extension or a tricep pushdown with a straight bar. Now, with my arms right at my side with 0 degrees of shoulder elevation, I'm going to have the most activation on my long head with a limited amount of activation on my lateral and medial heads. But when I do an exercise like this, where I'm doing a tricep extension with my shoulders elevated, I'm going to be getting a larger amount of activation and force production from my lateral and medial heads of the tricep. Now, moving on to the exercise portion, this is where we're going to look at what exercises seem to be the most effective for actually targeting and activating the triceps. Now, I do want to proceed with a little bit of caution with this. I've said before that muscle activation isn't everything, and I think this previous study is a perfect example on why that is. We show that the long head of the tricep is consistently active throughout the full range of motion, but the force production dropped dramatically. Now, this study was created by the American Council on Exercise, and this is known as ACE, one of the most reputable certification programs. So they looked at 8 of the most common tricep exercises and ranked them on total EMG activation. They found that the triangle push-up or diamond push-up comes out on top. Now, for those who might find doing push-ups super simple, 20 or 30 reps being a moderate amount for you, then most likely a weighted vest will be in your future to make this exercise a little bit more challenging. The next 2 exercises were the tricep kickbacks and dips. And I must say, these can be problematic with poor form. Tricep kickbacks, obviously an extremely effective exercise, as shown on the EMG data. But form can be a limiting factor because people like to use momentum. If you can truly focus on controlling the weight, you'll see good results. The dips are the same thing. We're not just including one joint, so this can be a little bit more challenging, and you can be limited by poor form or other weak muscles. Now, I want to point out some of my favorite tricep exercises, which are fairly low on this list. Even though some of these push-down isolation exercises have lower muscle activation, there are still great exercises to mix in. Since this is an isolation movement and there's only one joint that's involved here, it's easier to push the muscle harder and get a good amount of fatigue through just the triceps. This is one of my favorite tricep exercises. We're elevating the shoulders, so that means we're going to get more medial and lateral head involved, yet we're not completely elevated to 180 degrees. This form here is a little bit safer instead of using dumbbells because we are on a cable machine. If we get in a vulnerable position, we can just set the weight down. I want to take you guys through some more of my favorite exercises when I get into the full arm workout. So if you're not subscribed, hit subscribe, stay tuned for that video. If you guys enjoyed this content, hit like, hit subscribe. We'll see you guys in next week's video, which will be all about the biceps. Going from there is going to be my full arm workout. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a good day.